Hey YouTube, this is The Art of Prepping, just a response video to Chris Tanner with Prepared Mind 101, and in particular it's his new channel he has, is Ramblings of a Prepared Mind. And this particular video that he just recently made, as of yesterday, as of my timestamp of this video, it involves the nature of reality. And how do we know what is real, or what is out there, and what isn't? And this is a pretty deep conversation because it kind of highlights our deficits on being able to perceive of reality. That's why there's a lot of theoretical inquiries on this subject matter, and they usually go through the use of mathematics, quantum physics, that type of theory base, because our perceptions are limited. And just as there's different types of levels of logic that will fail and break down at some point, that sometimes all we have is math. And mathematically, that they have shown through quantum physics that there are more dimensions of space and realities even within our own world that we live in. So instead of having just a 3D type of perception of space, a frontwards, a backwards, a side to side, up and down, and everything in between, there are many more dimensions, they found out. And this is an ongoing type of learning. Now you may say, well, it's still mostly theoretical, and sure, but there's a lot of very strong mathematical evidence that this is very true. And while I'm not a quantum physicist, I will tell you, though, if this is even slightly true, which I do believe it is, that what else is out there? What is the true reality of reality? And if we can't even perceive the fullness of what is real and in front of us, then the vastness of potential is upon us. It's in abundance, maybe infinite. We don't know. Just like, when we look with our eyes, we think that we are seeing everything that's in front of us. But we know through science, very basic science, that, the radio waves, we also have, infrared and ultraviolet and all kinds of other frequencies of vibration that are moving through the space, and they're like right in front of me. But I can't see it because I can only see that narrow bandwidth of the visible light spectrum. And this is the same thing with reality. If our bodies only have so many types of senses or apparatuses to sense and detect and interact with the world around us, what else is there that we're not able to detect or understand or deduce or, expand upon? And so this is why a lot of people have theories that we live in a matrix, like a real matrix. And this is more like a computer program. It's because everybody who studies this comes to the same conclusion pretty much, that the world is digital. It's as a digital world. And even when you go to the smallest subatomic particles, the things that make up everything, if you can do the string theory and various other theories that are very similar, that everything in its essence is just vibration. It's just vibration. There's nothing really there. And the things that we do think that come in and out of this vibration, once again, they're coming in and out of reality. And so how can that be? Well, it could be popping in and out of other dimensions. We don't have a clue. I mean, there's a lot of theory on this, but everything is vibration. There's really no such thing as, for example, this sapling right here, for example. This is not even really that real. This is in real terms, it's very, very hollow in terms of its atomic structure. And this is all just a certain vibration to create this, even though it feels solid, and I feel like I can feel my fingers, because the vibrations has orchestrated it to be of this consistency and this mass and to create this type of material. But all we are is just vibration. And so what is that? Well, that's energy. So if all we are, which is very true, we're just energy at different frequencies, vibrating at different frequencies with different results of manifestations, then what is the true reality? Then what is all this? What, is this for a greater cause? Is this part of something just much larger We don't know. But it would be pretty, I think it would be pretty wise to say that there's probably a greater consciousness or a collective consciousness that this is all interwoven into. I would have a hard time believing this is all independent of each other, these various realities. So if there is a collective consciousness and we're all part of it, obviously, then we're all having individual or seemingly individual and unique experiences, but it all feeds back to the collective conscious. Very interesting. So why do we need to, or at least we sense that we're individuals, but we're really not? Why does the individual or even the collective conscious, why does it have to be any kind of experience that we're having? We don't know. It could be that there is a development of the greater collective consciousness. It could be that this is how it grows or how it develops or moves, or maybe there's cycles and maybe. We don't know. There's a lot of maybes here. But what it does is just a starting point to think about. And I thank Chris Tanner for kind of putting it into some decent words to kind of help clarify for a lot of us to get us talking again about this subject matter, because it doesn't get talked about enough. And so this is kind of my thoughts that over time we take for granted what's around us, and we put things in little boxes. And sometimes we find ourselves believing in religion or various types of religions that put things in boxes, or various types of philosophies, or believing in certain types of government systems. Some of them work better than others, just like some religions are more true to others, to certain peoples, depending on your experiences and what you believe. And it's all really relative to some degree. But there's all these things ultimately are just means and, to an end. To try to reduce our reality and try to find reasons for why things are what they are. It's very difficult to break down, because once again, we have such a small bandwidth of knowledge and introspection about our reality. It's kind of hard to know. And maybe this is by design. Maybe we're not supposed to, because we wouldn't be able to function in this type of world, in this dimension. If we had too much information, maybe we would go mad. Maybe we would self-destruct, or maybe we wouldn't be able to live on this planet. Maybe there's a lot of safeguards in the greater consciousness that puts these caps on our ability to know things. But ultimately, though, I have come to the conclusion that this world, it just seems like it's a very limited type of world. It's very simplified. It just seems like everything is so dumbed down. And I'm not talking about the people per se, but there's a lot of people who are dumbed down. But it just seems a very repressive type of world. Like I said, it's very limited. It doesn't seem like this is an upper echelon type of world at all. In fact, it's just, when you look at all the pain and suffering, not that there isn't a lot of joy and love as well, but you kind of conclude, I wonder why all these experiences come about. And apparently they're necessary. I mean, it's what it seems like. Very necessary for an end result. And so maybe we'll find this out, though, at some point in our existence. Just like, we'll find out if we existed before we came to this earth, or if we were just created to come into this earth. A lot of people who think that we're just created and put into, an infant or a fetus, and then we come out and we have this experience, and then we go to one or two places. And there's other people who believe that we've always existed, because we come from a place, maybe from the same place that God, or maybe we're part of God. We don't know. And that time, or that place, is without time. It's an infinite type of place, an infinite dimension, and things have always existed there. I'm not sure how you explain that, but we got to remember, though, that our reality here is on a linear timeline. And not all dimensions and all universes probably are the same way. We don't, maybe, like in the spiritual world, there's always that talk about that there is no real time. Everything is all happening at the same time. Everything's always occurring. And so there isn't like this linear timeline. It's like you're always in the moment, and the moment is always there, and there is no past or future in some dimensions. And so I think this is what we can take away here with this video is that we are just having this experience. And so how you can tie this in with preppers is that it's kind of like a short-term thing. And if it gives you any hope at all that maybe this experience will come and go. I'm not saying that living on this earth is bad or nothing, or it's not bad for everyone, but we all have our suffering in various ways, either the loss of loved ones or, personal pain and suffering with our bodies or frustrations in our life. But it is kind of fun to think about, wow, that we may have another experience in another world, maybe in another universe or another part of the galaxy, or we don't know. And that is so cool. Of course, there's going to be a lot of people that have a certain philosophy or that subscribe to a certain type of very specific religion. And hey, that's cool too. If that what kind of gets you to where you need to be, and that's what you feel like is true, by all means. But there's also a lot of other people who say, hey, just because I was raised a certain way, just because I was always told something, just because it was a tradition, and I'm not saying there isn't truth in religions. There's a lot of truths in religions, but it doesn't mean that the core foundation of the belief is actually rooted in truth. That's just my opinion, of course. You can believe it all you want. But with that being said, though, you have to be careful not to mix in with that tradition of a belief system equals truth. And that's where you see a lot of times people say, well, it's just how it always was, so it must be true. Well, that doesn't necessarily mean anything. And a lot of people are really concerned and really fearful to dig too far back, in fact, of where their religion came from or their belief structure, because they're worried they're going to find a fallacy and find a beginning point that isn't rooted into anything that's like miraculous, or you're going to have to just just kind of just swallow fully and just look the other way. And so people, of course, have the thing called faith. And actually, the more I understand faith, I've been really working on understanding what that means to a lot of different people in different religions, and it's very interesting, because really what they're really saying here is that faith is a type of belief that actually sets up and gives an origin to reality. And so you could say, well, no, my belief is that I believe in a certain God, and that's cool too, and I'm not saying there isn't a God, that's something that's just between me and me, but or me and God, but the point is that the reality of our beliefs typically are enmeshed with inherent biases brought on by previous generations that are just passed on, either through a tradition or because someone said something and it was passed on, and that's just like how it is. And so when you start questioning a lot of things start to break down, because at some point someone's going to say in the family, well, I'm not really sure why grandma really even said that, but she said it was true, but there's no way you can verify it and all this. And it's not to say that grandma was wrong. It's just sometimes like, do you want to just believe things because someone just said them? And so you have to be kind of careful what you believe and not believe. But getting back to my definition of belief, it's like a type of faith, obviously. And that type of construct, that activity of putting energy into a type of consciousness and a type of a building of a reality in your mind through the belief, through the processing in your mind, and maybe even spirit, if you want to say that, to generate a type of reality, even if it's just in the mind. That's still a reality. You created something. That's an activity. That's a real movement, a real doing. That's definitely an activity level and a behavior, an action, if you will. That's the word. And because that's the starting point, of things starting to manifest, if you will. And so what you do is that your faith or belief is the starting point for things to happen. And so I understand this a lot more now, that if you don't have faith in yourself, and a lot of people use the word faith or belief in a religious context, but a lot of people use it, and most time use it in their day-to-day life that's not even religious, if you will. Like if you believe that you can get that job and do that job well, there's a really good chance that you will get the job and and you will do well. If you have a goal and you know how to do it, you have like certain things set up to make that goal a reality, and you're going to accomplish it because you have a plan. Just like within prepping, if you have a plan, you can achieve things a lot easier than if you just go at it and randomly try to do things. That belief, that having that faith in yourself carries so far, and it actually can help manifest, if not totally manifest these things, just through the doing of things based on your conviction, just on the movement and the rhythm of your movement and behavior and actions. So this is very critical. So I'm not knocking that at all, especially in a spiritual sense. What's to say that, all the things that we just talked about that are unseen don't include things like the spirit realm. Obviously, that could be there for real. And so it's kind of not a something that, I think that would be wise to put people down for prayer and respect and reverence of their ancestors and even beliefs in other types of entities. Some people have actually seen them. They crossed over. And I think that's another thing that the paranormal or the field of paranormal is usually kind of like, kind of poo-pooed quite a bit. And it's because you can't really have like proof. Maybe you can get some of it on film, maybe, and get some audio possibly, or maybe even get some eyewitnesses. But for the mass general public, 99% or more of them, they won't believe. Regardless of those kind of things, if you produce those kind of evidences, they're not going to really go, I mean, they might think it's just kind of funny, or they won't believe it's real, or they'll just say, well, maybe it's a glitch in the camera, or maybe you altered it, I don't trust you. And so regardless, though, that things do happen, there really are paranormal things. And that's up to you how far you want to go with that. But it's there. I mean, there's a lot of things that I think that are interdimensional. And because it would be very limiting to say that, this is the only reality ever and only thing, in the existence of all reality. And that this is, and we're like the only ones in this reality. And it's the same thing as saying that, like, in our universe, that we're the only life in our universe. That's kind of like so belittling and so unlikely. And it's like statistically, in my opinion, from what I understand, it's just not even statistically possible that there has to be life. And there most likely has to be other universes and other realities, other dimensions. And we are just on the tip of the iceberg. I mean, we don't even have a clue what's even out there. And this is what's so amazing, that maybe when we pass on from this, our body, our host, that helps interact with this environment and this reality and this dimension on this planet and this very large galaxy and universe, that we may be picked up, through our collective consciousness, through this individual experience, and get reabsorbed in that collective consciousness. And maybe we go out and, I say we, but whatever aspect of us, if there is a part of us that's individual, I don't know. Maybe there are a lot of individual aspects within the collective consciousness. I don't know, but however that works, maybe we get put on to other places. And some people are going to say, boy, this sure does sound like reincarnation or something like that. Hey, maybe that has something to do with this. I'm not preaching anything. I'm just saying that there's a lot of things that the ancient traditions, for some reason, came to a conclusion. We don't really know why they came to those conclusions, especially the very, very ancient religions or cultures. But they have these ideas and these customs. And I'm not saying they're rooted in all truth, like we were just talking about, but isn't that interesting how like humanity has just, they kind of just leaned towards something. And for, you would kind of wonder if there was a reason. Maybe at some point realities, intermixed more. Maybe there was more interaction with other types of dimensions. We don't have a clue. And so this video is just that simple. It's just kind of just bringing all this up. And once again, thanks, Chris, over there at Ramblings of a Prepared Mind. I enjoy that channel. It's a new channel. Go check that out. It's really cool. And it has a lot of neat, it's just very new now, but it has a couple really neat videos. And also check out Chris Tanner's main channel, Prepared Mind 101. It's been around for a good amount of years, and he has many, many videos if you're into preparedness and bushcraft and other types of gear reviews. But overall, though, I really do think that if we spent more time trying to be less focused on this particular realm of the reality and opened up ourselves for all the other experiences that could possibly be right in front of us or we're interacting with, but we don't even know it, I think we could have a much richer life. And that's why it reminded me pretty much of prepping, because the more that you have, stored, and the more you have in knowledge, the more you have in capability, the more you're able to do. And the same thing is with the more conscious that you become as an individual, the more that you're able to experience. And so who knows, maybe the human, condition, the human itself and body is evolving to some degree, maybe just in an outward way to experience more and more about the things that are able to be experienced. And so this is the exciting part. Maybe this is just part of a developmental growth. And throughout time, maybe we get to the point that we can have more and more experiences that go beyond what we can experience now. And maybe that's the grand plan, that the consciousness, the greater consciousness, populates all these various universes, and they're always trying to grow and expand for reasons I have no idea. And so I'd be really curious about what you think, and feel free to tell Chris also what you think. This is just something that's just kind of a different twist for the channel here on, on the art of prepping, and just kind of wanted to respond to him because he's a prepper, just like we are, and he's very prepared minded as we are. And I just thought that was cool that he brought up something so different. Sometimes we get so stuck in preparation or survival or bushcraft stuff that we don't really step outside the box ourselves. And so, I think sometimes it's kind of cool to jazz up a channel and throw some different topics out. Even though I don't think if you have a dedicated channel just on a certain subject matter, it's totally understandable why you wouldn't want to distract your audience with all kind of off subject matter. But for the most part, though, this really does affect everyone. It's definitely something that goes along with people that are deep thinkers and that are really aware, like us preppers. And the nature of reality, even in the reality that we can perceive, it is so important of how we go about deducing what is and what isn't real, and what is there that we can't see. It's just the same thing with our political system. Sometimes you have to just read in between the lines. And the same thing with the nature of true reality, though, that there's so much out there that's concealed. It's like this world is like this, like I said before, it's like this hidden world. It's like we're like we have our blinders on. I mean, like literally, because our body is only able to process certain types of information about reality and have certain types of experiences. When in reality, there could be literally hundreds of billions of more types of experiences that we can't experience just because our body is not opened or not available. We don't even have the senses to actually sense those types of perceptions or those types of interactions with stimuli. I mean, we don't have a clue. That's why quantum physics is just starting to scratch the surface of these other dimensions within our own world, our own dimension here, different types of space and configurations. And maybe we'll figure out a way to interact with those. Wouldn't that be so awesome if we were able to discover in the next decade a new dimension within our own, and we have to use a certain technology to access it, but we could access it, and just think about what it could be. I mean, that's just so mind-blowing. It would be like a whole nother step in consciousness, in awareness. And I mean, maybe that's how we grow as people. We continually find more and more about what reality and consciousness is right in front of us. And we don't have to travel to the other end of the universe. We can just figure things out right here. And that's why I've always scratched my head when I see NASA's like, we gotta go to the nearest sun, or we gotta go over to that planet. It's all cool and all. I like, traveling too, but I think that we don't even know what the freak's in our own ocean half the time. We don't even know exactly how the Earth really functions fully. We don't really know what's even like in our own jungles and our forest, much less we're going to go to like what planet or what star system. A lot of this doesn't make sense to me why we have all these aspirations to go so far out when we don't even know on our home planet what's even here. So anyways, hope everyone's well. Hope they enjoyed this video. It was quite long, but it's a fun topic to talk about, and I love to hear your comments. You guys take care.